Hello, Sisterhood. Welcome to another interview with Limitless Living. Today we are speaking with Lydia Romero-Johnson, who is a RN, a registered nurse in mental health. She is also a holistic health coach. She is going to share her autoimmune story with us today and her inspiration, how she gets through the challenges, and she will tell you more about the work she's doing as well. All right, so welcome, Lydia.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, April.
Yay, me too. I'm so excited to speak to you. Please share some information about yourself. Introduce yourself to the group.
Yeah, so hello group. So my name's Lydia. I am, like she said, a holistic health coach and a registered nurse. I live in Maryland with my family, my husband and two boys. And so my journey is one that as a young child, I started to have health struggles. And some of the health struggles that I've had were a combination of joint pain, were a combination of rashes, were a combination of extreme fatigue, headaches, nausea, all kinds of, a mix of all those things, which I'm sure some of you guys can relate to. It started pretty young. Actually, so my family moved from Maryland when I was 10, and things started from New York to Maryland, and things started before we even moved. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until we came to Maryland that my mom actually had to take me to the doctor at one point because of the skin rash was so bad all over my body. Mm-hmm. that they were concerned that maybe I had skin cancer or something, and they went ahead and had to do a biopsy. Thankfully, it wasn't skin cancer, but that kind of started the journey of more and more doctor visits when kind of strange things came up.
Mm-hmm. So how many years would you say you were experiencing, like, I guess I kind of want to know, like, background wise, like as a child, like what age were you when you started to experience these strange symptoms?
Yeah, so I'm it's hard for me to like remember exactly, but I remember that I went on a trip with my grandparents to Puerto Rico, right? And I was there for a month with them. I already had the rash when I went, and that was before we moved to Maryland. So I feel like I was probably around 8.
Oh, wow.
When I had the rash already, and I also had periods of stomach issues where I remember my mom taking me to the doctors. So kind of back and forth, different signs and symptoms, little bits of clarity here and there, but not much. It really took a long time to get the diagnosis, like the official diagnosis of lupus for me. So, some of you guys might be familiar with, that pregnancy can be like a trigger or something that is like a stressor that can produce a flare of sort, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what I feel like kind of happened to me. It's like I had my first son. He's 16 now, and the pregnancy overall was fine. I was working. It was okay. I was working in retail, actually. So I was moving on my feet a lot. And, I remember being tired, but nothing major. Once it came time for labor and delivery, it was like all hell broke loose. And there was like lots of complications. He ended up in the NICU. And I ended up being discharged from the hospital when I told them I'm not ready. I don't feel right. Something's not good. And the next day having to be readmitted for a blood transfusion, and them having to get special antibodies for my blood. And then just more and more started to happen after that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So with some of the different things that I had heard along the way from childhood, different doctor interactions, and by then, right, the internet starting to kind of become something we use a little bit more often, lupus came on my radar. So it was kind of something that I put on file. And I went and told the doctors while I was hospitalized after having him, I said, you guys have to test me for lupus. And I told them like, just like that. And my mom was like, you have to test her, because she's been with me through the journey of it all. And sure enough, I believe the test they did was the lupus anticoagulant test, which came back positive. And then there was the antiphospholipid syndrome. And I also had previously at some point, the positive ANA did come up. So that was kind of like, okay, we could be dealing with something autoimmune.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the birth of my first son. And then my second son, I got the celiac diagnosis
Oh, okay.
after having him.
Okay. And yeah, it tends to happen. Many people who have one autoimmune condition may get another.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So what are the challenges that you have experienced? Yeah. So yeah, definitely during pregnancy, that was definitely a huge set of challenges as well. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I'm glad to see that you're okay.
Yeah. No, it was
Pregnancy
rough.
challenge.
It was very rough for a very long time. And that's kind of like, what led me to that period of it being so rough and intense. So it's like the diagnosis of lupus, having a child, then 4 years later, having another child and another diagnosis.
Right.
So a combination of symptoms amping up in between. The pain and the struggle that I experienced was my motivator to try new and different things to help get out of that that struggle.
So, Lydia, if you could share with us a little bit more about the challenges before we go into overcoming. What are those challenges that you experienced?
Absolutely. There were a lot of challenges. So just, the fatigue is something that really, really, really was heavy, that I struggled with for a long time. I remember times where just going to the mall with my mom would have me feeling like completely lethargic, like it was just hard to function and do things, and at a young age too. So that's something I definitely feel that level of fatigue that I was experiencing affected also my self-esteem, and my confidence. And so then that affected so many other things, right? Like, especially as being in mental health, I could see just like the value of self-esteem and confidence, and how it just is just critical to getting better, to doing things, to like so many things in life.
Mm-hmm.
And because that fatigue was just so overwhelming, it really kind of messed with my mindset on what I was capable of, and the things that I could do. So I feel like it really put a lot of limitations on me, and in part, because of the way that I viewed what I was dealing with.
Right. Definitely. Fatigue is a challenge. Self-confidence
Yeah.
is a challenge. Um, okay. And then, so here we go. I would love to hear your experiences of overcoming these challenges of autoimmune conditions, the lupus journey, the celiac journey, the diagnosis of that. Like, how have you overcome in the past, and how do you overcome these challenges on a daily basis?
Yeah. So like I said, with having the kids and being in the place where I was really fatigued and having, body pain. Sometimes it was hard to get out of the bed. I remember times having to call my mom, like, come help me because I can't do things with the kids because it was so bad. That, after seeking, treatment and going to doctors many times, getting put on additional medications, I got frustrated. I felt like every time I would go to a doc, I was getting a new prescription or a new med or injection or something. And I felt like we weren't getting anywhere. Nothing was really changing. And so like being in that place of like, you have maybe your vision of what you think being a mom is going to be like, interacting with your kids, your husband, whatever. And things weren't going, in that direction. And it's like, I felt like that kind of place of tapping into that pain and how I was feeling, but then also thinking about how I wanted to feel and what I wanted to do, that started like stewing and kind of just manifesting. So it was kind of like, it's true, you hear it's like cliche, but like I got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
And that guided me, to seek, okay, well, what are the options out here? What are the solutions out here? And it's kind of like, I have to say this. So my mom has her own health struggles. We didn't talk about this before, but my mom has HIV. And so my dad passed from AIDS, in 1993. Now, so I got to see this woman who has these health struggles, shift her mindset, shift, her priorities, to tap into a place to be able to thrive, and to set other things up so that she can be here for her kids and, all these different things. And so, of course, I think that's a piece ingrained in me. Like, for a long time, it was kind of the story, okay, I'm sick, I have lupus, I have all these limitations, but inside there was a flame that was like, oh, no, there's still more that can be done regardless of this diagnosis. So it's tapping into that, and then like researching. I am grateful for the internet because I feel like look at this, the connection, and it brings so much information to us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, who has what I have and how are they getting better?
Right.
Let me read up on them. What are some natural solutions that people can use that help them get better, right? Because you always hear the story. You ever, like, you're at a college graduation or something and you hear people share their story of adversity or the underdog, or, and I've always loved those stories. So, it's kind of like, okay, like you can do this, so it was kind of tapping into different mindsets, resources, strategies to find things. So I started with food. Food is where I started. And that began the journey.
Wonderful. So changing your diet, things like that. And then also working with available resources, building your mindset.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Like I was talking to somebody about this recently. It's kind of like, if you don't believe that you have the potential to heal, if you don't believe in some of the possibilities and power of natural solutions, that shuts the door. You can't even move any further if there's no belief in it. If you cross it off as, oh, this is not going to work.
Right. Definitely. And so how's your health these days? You're managing it well?
Yeah, so things are actually great. So my birthday, I just turned 40 in March. And
happy birthday.
Thanks. And it was March 20th, 8 years ago, where I decided to go on this journey. So I had, like I said, did a little bit of research. I decided, okay, I'm going to try this lifestyle thing. And I haven't turned back. And honestly, things started changing quickly. But there was different layers of it. So there was food, there was physical activity, healthy boundaries, like, stress management, all kinds of things. So I would kind of practice one focus and then layer to the next, and until they're all incorporated in my overall like lifestyle.
I love it.
Yeah. And so things are great. Honestly, like I was able to come off 9 medications.
Amazing.
So I'm not on any prescribed medications for lupus. I was on high blood pressure meds years ago in my 20s, and I'm not on those anymore. I, at one point, was on Percocet and Flexerol and, different things like that. And you guys know, right, a lot of the opioid struggles that are going on in this country. Anyway, so yeah, the natural approaches, the lifestyle modifications I made have made it so that I've been able to come off those things. I don't struggle with pain. I'm doing I can't even sometimes really believe the things that I'm doing now.
Amazing.
Like energy wise, and just, my motivation, and where I was on a couch for a long time, just limited and couldn't even get my brain to work too well, and now there's just so much possibility.
I love that. How inspiring. I know I'm still on prescription meds, but yeah. How inspiring.
Yeah, but here's the thing, like everybody has, their own journey. And also I just want to say this, like, it's not, oh, I did the food thing and I did this lifestyle thing and I just abandoned meds. No, that's not what I did. I worked with my doctors, had doctors' eyes on me and blessing along the way too. I never want anyone to just say, oh yeah, I'm going to eat fruits and veggies and just stop my meds, right? That's not what we're talking about here. It was kind of me having heart-to-hearts with my doctors. Here's my vision of health. Here's what I want to strive to. Here's what I'm willing to do to get there. Will you, where are you with that too? And just making sure that you come you guys are a team, right? It's not that they dictate to you everything. It's your life and body to have an even exchange of information, of resources, of, you know, support. So that's something like I really advocate for, because I just think it's so important, because I've totally been in the role of, oh yeah, whatever the doctor says goes, and there's no more conversation, you know, like just here's the script. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. And then we're done.
Right.
And no, you know, there's so much more now that you can do.
Definitely having those conversations proactively with your doctor, your care team, your specialist, and discussing options with them. And then if the options don't seem to fit right with you, go and find another physician.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I had to do that. I had to leave my rheumatologist and find a new one, because he just wasn't willing to kind of tap into some of the conversations that I wanted to have. And so that was okay. He's not a bad person. He might be the doc for someone else, but my needs changed. And so I had to find someone that was a better fit.
Definitely. I know that the physician, the specialist that I love to work with is someone that other people truly dislike. So
Right. Like, yeah. Absolutely.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much. Could you share with us some advice that you would give to somebody who is just beginning this journey of the autoimmune diagnosis and experience and the challenges? Maybe they're new mothers, maybe like me, they're afraid to even be pregnant with autoimmune conditions.
Right.
So what advice would you give to someone who is struggling through autoimmune difficulties and challenges?
Okay. All right. So the first one, you know, that really comes to me, because I just think so many people struggle with this as a whole. And I notice my patients and even, you know, people I've coached, they kind of cringe when I say it, but please remember to be patient and kind with yourself. Because it can be so easy, you know, to get wrapped up in, you know, focusing on everything that's not good or not working, or blaming ourselves, or, you know, questioning things, and right, that could just make it kind of tough. And so remember to be patient and kind with yourself too, just like you would anybody else, like someone that you love, right, that you respect, that you were gonna support. Take some of that for you. You know, the other thing I would say is, you know, again, I feel along the journey I've learned that mindset, you know, the things that we believe and think and, you know, kind of consume, it's important. And so, you know, how can you create more of a positive space and environment and mindset and things like that? And honestly, I noticed, you know, kind of reflecting, and I do it now, but like writing, journaling things along the way. So even if you could spend 5 minutes kind of journaling the ways that you would like to feel, you know, the feelings you want to tap in, what you're grateful for, what's good. So even though there can be a lot of pain and struggle, what's good in the day, you know, what's good in your life. Spending 5 minutes kind of dedicated on that positive focus, writing things down, I think could have a lot of value.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Being kind to ourselves, having the right mindset for the things that we want to do with our lives, spending some time journaling.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for these amazing tips and advice that you would share with somebody. And they're really important. They're really powerful. Definitely. So how can we get in touch with you? If we want to hear more about your story, learn more about the work that you're doing some amazing work out there in the mental health field as well, like helping out people who are dealing with these challenges in terms of depression, anxiety as well.
Yeah. So yeah, my nursing job, I work part-time as a nurse in mental health. And so I do psychoeducation groups there. But yeah, so that's my nursing job. And then my health coaching, I have a website associated with my health coaching business, and that's LydiaRomero-Johnson.com. So please, it has a little bit more about my story, and, you know, how I help others with, you know, with their journeys as well. And also I've recently created my first digital course, Lively Living with Lupus, which I'm really excited about, and it's going to be going live soon.
I love that. Lively Living with Lupus. You know, lupus sometimes in the community, I have a relative with lupus, and Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to communicate about being lively and positive about the condition with certain communities. And so, yeah, your work is needed and appreciated and valued.
Thank you.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us today. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we finish our interview today?
Well, just thank you so much, April. I think, what you're doing and spreading, the possibility and hope and inspiration and all of that in the healing journey too is awesome. So please
Mhm. Thank
continue.
you. Yeah, we've got to be lights in the world, right?
Right.
We've got to do it for ourselves. We've got to do it for our families. We've got to do it for our communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much, Lydia.
Thank you. All
All right. Take care.
right. You too.